Good evening. On the news tonight. Noble agents of death. Several members of parliament have COVID-19, but we shall not tell you how many they are and who they are because they could be subjected to stigmatization, the government says. Tonight we tell you how the same politicians who blatantly violate COVID-19 containment measures by holding public gatherings whenever they want are now protected by the government against COVID-19 related stigma. Also tonight, standoff in Kitui County. Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu is not resting easy. Not even her lawyers can save her from the irate members of the county assembly who are hell-bent on impeaching her. The drama here tonight. Plus, Jaguar arrested again. Starehe Member of Parliament Charles Njagwa Kanyi is in trouble with the law again. The charges are inciting traders to occupy a market in the city. The last time the lawmaker was arrested, he was accused of inciting traders against Chinese nationals. Tonight we tell you why Jaguar crossed the line. And troublesome neighbors. At least 37 counties are not satisfied with their boundaries. They either want more land mass or the county leaders feel the borders were not well drawn. On the bulletin tonight we tell you why the governors just cannot agree on the borderlines.
This is TV47 News Tonight with Abubakar, Abdullahi.
TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi, begins right now. And Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. To our top story. Now, Nandi County is likely to be the biggest winner of this year's county revenue allocation, receiving an additional 1.3 billion shillings to its last year's allocation. Senators are, however, divided on the allocation formula, with a contention on whether to use the county population or the size of the county now emerging. A proposal on the revenue allocation is expected to elicit a heated debate in the Senate tomorrow, with arid and semi-arid area counties being the biggest losers. Elizabeth Mutuku begins our broadcast tonight.
The biggest winners of this year's allocation will include Nandi County, which has been proposed an additional 1.3 billion shillings, the county to receive 6.7 billion Kenya shillings. Uasin Gishu and Nakuru counties are likely to get additional of 1.1 billion shillings each, while Kiambu and Kakamega counties might get 1 billion shillings to boost each. However, arid and semi-arid counties are among 18 counties that are likely to be the biggest losers of the proposed allocation. Wajir might lose at least 2 billion shillings in its allocation, while Marsabit and Mandera counties will lose 1.9 billion shillings each if the proposals are approved. Others include Garissa and Tana River counties. And with the debate expected in the House Tuesday afternoon, senators in some of the losers have vowed to oppose the proposals.
And even if they lose, because times have changed, and we don't have a lot of money, it is not something which will come out as if some counties are more Kenyan than others. So in terms of the proposed formula, I'm yet to see the proposal which will be brought on the floor of the House. But one thing is very clear. We cannot work on a radius. We cannot take the square root of the land size so that we can say distance to service. That is something which I'll completely reject.
In the contention among the senators being formula on either to use population or size of the county.
Kupewa zaidi ya bilioni 1.3 ni muhimu kwa sababu tunapoongea kule Nandi population inaelekea karibu milioni 1 na kwenda juu, na tuko na mahitaji na ni wananchi ndio wako na mahitaji, si shamba. So nimeona nasikia kuna watu wanasema to reduce kutoka 8% mpaka 5%. Mimi kesho katika bunge la Seneti tutakataa hiyo maneno. Tumekubaliana maseneta wote ambao wanatoka katika taifa letu la Kenya ambao wamekuwa na watu wengi. Kwa mfano hapa Kiambu tuko na watu zaidi ya mamilioni, hapa Nairobi na watu wanahitaji huduma. si kuweka kule mashamba. Na heshimu wale wenzetu ambao wanasema wako na mashamba kwa sababu watu wanaishi mbali, lakini lazima tuelewa kwamba huduma inaenda kwa watu na watu ndio wanahitaji huduma, si mambo ya land size.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukuru Yatani has proposed a 46 billion shillings reduction on the county's allocation following a reduced revenue allocation. Governors have vowed to oppose the reduction. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
Elsewhere, there was drama at the Kitui County Assembly after the governor, Charity Ngilu's lawyers, were barred from accessing the county assembly premises. The MCAs have started the impeachment process despite a court order stopping the motion. Ngilu has, however, been summoned by the assembly and has, however, as well condemned the chaos at the county assembly, claiming that the MCAs are acting out of malice.
This was the situation at the Kitui County Assembly.
I mean, no one gets in before we go in because we are invited.
Governor Charity Ngilu's lawyers were barred from accessing the county assembly premises and forcibly ejected from the county assembly. Ngilu was to appear before the county assembly to respond to the summons issued by the county assembly ahead of her impeachment. Ngilu has, however, condemned the forceful ejection of the lawyers, saying she had the right to either in person or the lawyers.
Nobody should mishandle advocates, and this is one of those cases in which we will be asking the Law Society of Kenya to take up, because advocates should never be mishandled, manhandled or assaulted in the way of duty or the course of duty.
The court had issued orders stopping our ouster, but the members of County Assembly have vowed to proceed with the motion.
Motion have been moved. It has not been stopped, as it is being alleged in some of the social media forums.
The court will begin the inter-party hearing on 6th of July 2020. Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, the leadership of several governors hangs in the balance as a wave of impeachment sweeps across the counties. Now, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru survived her ouster after the Senate Select Committee threw out her impeachment motion. Other governors facing a tough time ahead include Kitui's Charity Ngilu and Nakuru's Lee Kiunjuri. Mwangi Maina reports.
Speaking in Kakamega, Devolution Cabinet Secretary and Chair of Governors Wycliffe Oparanya asked MCAs to be considerate as they table impeachment motions against governors. They said this is not the right time as counties gear up their fight against coronavirus.
During this corona pandemic period, we are urging our assemblies to focus their energies, resources towards battling this enemy. After that, they can go back with business as usual.
Nilisema wakati wa impeachment hii, hiyo pesa tunayo. Kwa nini tunachukua maloya kufanya impeachment? Impeachment inaweza kufanywa wakati wowote. Tunaweza kungojea economy ifunguliwe. Saa hiyo sasa wewe ukitaka ufanye impeachment yako ufanye. Sisi tutakataza impeachment. Lakini tunasema ile pesa chache ambayo unayo, so wacha tutumie tununue PPE.
Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu is facing a tough time as county MCAs prepare to impeach her. On Monday, chaos erupted at the Kitui County Assembly as Ngilu's lawyers were denied entry into the chambers and were thrown out literally. Nakuru Governor Lee Kiunjuri has dared Nakuru MCAs to impeach him, saying the accusations against him on delayed projects and centralization of tendering process are unfounded and far-fetched.
We know our rights, we know the rights of the people of Nakuru, and we do not by any chance want anybody to think that they can teach us how to do our work. If it's an impeachment, we are ready for it. We are ready for it, not even in 14 days, even today. So I think this idea of the assemblies across the country putting certain demands, and unless you do them, you're impeached. I think this is the time when the nation needs to have a very sober conversation as to what oversight is, because we think we are going overboard. And for those who think that that stick can work, it can work elsewhere, but not here in Nakuru.
Nakuru MCAs have threatened to impeach Kiunjuri over slow implementation of development projects. Busia Governor Peter Ojaamong may soon face impeachment as MCAs say they are not happy with his leadership. Chapter 11 of the Constitution provides for the impeachment of a governor if claims of impeachment are met, including gross violation of the Constitution and abuse of office. Governors say the current wave of impeachment is fanned by 2022 political ambitions. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
For you, actually.
Yeah, if you wanted it to mine,
it turns to. So it is not for you.
Well, from Kitui to Nakuru, Lee Kinyanjui, to now Kirinyaga. Of course, the wave of impeachment seemingly continues. Let's bring in our guest tonight, Ndegwa Njiru, who is the lead counsel of the Kirinyaga members of the County Assembly. Wakili, thank you for making time for us tonight on TV47.
Yes. Good evening, viewers.
All right. Is it your view that the 88-page document filed by the Senate Select Committee in the Senate that gave the ruling of this impeachment was illegal?
Yes, that is my view. And I actually tweeted about the content of that report.
Mm-hmm.
For the report failing to actually attain the bare minimum of a judicious report. The report Abubakar, the report actually failed, and it was an embarrassment to the entire process that we undertook on those 2 days.
We will come to the nitty-gritties of the report, but still on that point, is that equally the same view as of the 23 members of the County Assembly who voted to impeach the governor?
Yes. That is actually, I speak on behalf of my clients, the members of Kirinyaga County Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
They too have a lot of reservations, and they actually disassociate themselves from that report.
Mm-hmm.
Because the report failed to address the substantive issues we raised and rather chose to address the political question. So we highly have high reservations in respect to that content.
Wakili, why is it illegal? Is it illegal because the outcome was not favorable in your view?
No. I am a practitioner and I have practiced law for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I always know that in an adversarial system like this one of ours, you can either win a case or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always contented. Even when you go before a judge or a magistrate, you win the case or lose it. And there is a substantive reason that actually the judgment itself is well reasoned. We go home happy.
Mm-hmm.
We tell our clients of the next move to do. But when you go to court or a tribunal of that nature, and you find that the report has failed to address itself to the question and the substance of the matter,
mm-hmm.
we really feel dejected, we feel let down. We feel the only thing to do is to disassociate ourselves from the report. We do not call it illegal because it never gave us what we expected. We call it illegal because it fell short of addressing the issues raised in law.
All right, the report says the points and what the governor was accused of, the accuser failed to substantiate. That word has been used 3 times in
Yes.
the verdict of these cases.
Yes. Yeah, and that is why we have a problem with the entire report, Abubakar.
Mm-hmm.
For one reason that any report that is an impeachment report of that nature, it fights a sitting in law, and that is Section 33 of the County Government Act.
Mm-hmm.
It also fights a sitting in Article 181 of the Constitution and Article 182.
Mm-hmm.
Article 181 requires or rather gives the grounds upon which a governor can be impeached.
Mm-hmm.
One of those grounds is gross misconduct,
mm-hmm.
gross violation of the Constitution or any other written law. So you do not require to put up a case for the violation of the two statutes, either the Constitution or the written law.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you prove one ground, be it the violation of the Constitution or violation of any other written law. Any other written law means acts of parliament. You'll have put up a case. But then the question of substantiation arises.
Mm-hmm.
What is to substantiate? To substantiate is to prove the existence of the alleged facts.
And isn't that not what the select... Wakili, let me interject you at that point. Isn't that not what the charge sheet upon which this was based is concerned? For instance, if you listen to what the select committee says on the charge of gross violation of the Constitution and any other law, the committee therefore found the allegations was not proved and was therefore not substantiated.
Yes, and that is the other reason we have with the problem with the report, Abubakar.
Mm-hmm.
Substantiating a fact is proving the existence of that particular fact.
Mm-hmm.
The fundamental question is, did we prove the existence of transgressions to the law in regard to Governor Waiguru's impeachment? We answer in affirmative and say yes. Remember, Abubakar, even when the DPP charges somebody in court, you can bring a litany of charges, but you do not require to prove all those charges. The conviction will be earned on a proof of even one particular charge. The court will convict. We troubled ourselves to traverse the entire pieces of evidence that we had and that those were provided to us by the respondents, the governor.
Wakili, you say you have proved. Wakili, let me interject you at that point. You say you have proved. The report says you haven't. What could be the possibility of the 11-member select committee being all wrong in seeing your evidence as a proof?
You know the problem in the manner that the committee is constituted. The committee is not given technical support in terms of how to deal with a substantive matter of that nature. I take great exception that, I take great honor that there was a retired judge who was part and parcel of the committee. But don't you lose the fact that beyond the fact that there is a technical support, maybe lawyers are present, there is even an inclusion of a retired judge. Politics carried the day.
Wakili, you appeared for 2 days before this select committee. Why did you not raise, if at all you did, raise the concern of the lack of a technical team? It seems as though it is coming as an afterthought.
No, it's not an afterthought, Abubakar. Our accountability system is designed in a manner that it will fail. For example, Section 33 provides that the committee shall conduct investigation on its own motion, in what we call in law sui moto, on its own volition. The committee is supposed to initiate investigation to establish the existence or the non-existence of that particular alleged fact. But what did we see? We saw the committee renegating that point, sitting back and waiting upon the county assembly to bring all the evidence. There is something that we must remember, Abubakar. But at the time the county assembly is setting up to impeach a governor, much of the allegations and the transgressions that complaints arises from is always in the custody of the governor. For example, we alleged that the governor never made the trips that she alleges to have made. How do you prove that he never made these trips? You either bring the travel manifest or you bring the passport. Who is in custody of the travel manifest and who is in custody of the passport? The governor herself. When we made application that there be provisions of the ordinary passport and the diplomatic passport, what did the committee do? The committee abrogated that power. They simply failed to exercise the powers that they have been conferred by the statute.
Wakili, just to be fair to all sides that are involved in this debate, the chairperson of that committee, I remember ruling that they were in possession of the travel documents, the necessary required ones.
Yes. They allege to have been, but remember I have told you that accountability in this country is designed in a manner that it will fail. The documents that were served upon the committee are the same documents that were served upon us, and they were adulterated. It never reflected the true picture of the original documents. And when I made an application to cross-examine the governor on those travels, again the application was rejected. How then do we move on to prove the existence of the fact if the witness upon whom bias to come and testify is being treated and immunized by the committee.
Wakili, you're pointing fingers and the loopholes or otherwise that could be and could have been in this. But one will ask, why are all these coming now? I mean, this was supposed to be, or even was, a fair and just process. You had the equal right to point out where you thought things were wrong.
I did. I actually did. It's actually on record. I made several applications. I made several objections. But the committee never responded positively. Because you could even see from the kind of the questions our witnesses were being subjected to by the Senate. They were being subjected to questions that suggested that the Senate was actually holding brief on behalf of Waiguru. Mm-hmm. What else could we do? Abubakar.
All right, one would suppose that was a democratic process. You had a bigger voice to have raised your concern. But nonetheless, Wakili, there are those who point fingers at the committee itself. Before even the hearing of this committee, there were questions of a predetermined case.
Correct.
What did you think first of that?
Yes, Abubakar, we actually approached this committee with knowing that we have our own reservations. We approached the committee knowing, yes, politics is playing out here. Why did we approach the committee in the manner we approached? Because we wanted to have two judgments. We were waiting for the judgment of the committee that we all, of course, knew the outcome.
And what was that outcome? You say you knew the outcome. What was that outcome?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We
and
knew the
outcome?
politics of the day have taken the day, they have carried the day. Yes.
And what was that outcome that you say you knew?
The outcome is what the senators are saying, that it was supposed to be a cleansing and a sanitizing process. But for us, we also wanted to earn a judgment in the public gallery, and the public knows who is guilty and who is not guilty. The public was clear by the evidence that we brought that yes, there are some questionable issues here. For example, the committee finds that Governor Igoro was in breach of the law relating to interest and the return of public funds. The law says that this interest must be surrendered within 7 days. And it was in the wisdom of Parliament for them to legislate in that manner because they knew such a provision is subject to abuse.
And Wakili, when you talk of the law and the impress, just to be clear, that is in reference to the Public Finance Management Act of 2012.
Exactly.
The committee points that, but nonetheless, listen to what the committee in its report says as well, that it finds that the allegations of the governor conferring herself a benefit was proved but does not amount to an impeachable offense. You proved your case in this case, but it didn't amount to the removal of the governor from the office. That's what the committee says.
Abubakar, and there lies our problem with the report. We say in law, we say in law that equity does not suffer a wrong without a remedy. Where there is a wrong, there must be a remedy for that particular wrong that has been committed. If there is a transgression of the law, there must be a sanction for that transgression. If you kill, if you murder, you are jailed you are convicted to hang. If you steal, you are taken to jail. If you rape, you are taken to jail. There must be a sanction for each and every transgression that is committed in law. But the question is, why did the committee become evasive? Why did it shy away from issuing the sanctions that are prescribed in law? May I tell you the sanctions? The sanctions prescribed in law for abuse of office is that of impeachment. So if the Senate was candid enough, it ought to have made a positive finding. Otherwise,
all right, Wakili, the argument that the committee put forth in defense of this is that there were specific officers who were involved in this process. Hold them to account. It's not necessarily the governor who may have been responsible of this.
Well, we are living in very interesting times, and if this Senate is going to behave this way, then Abubakar, I must tell you that devolution is at stake, devolution is at threat, and Kenyans will never realize their intention when they came up with the question of devolution.
Wakili, at this point, the committee says that there could have been what has happened, but nonetheless hold the specific officers. Understanding that the political responsibility of the county is entirely on the governor, was it your point of view then that the governor should have been held accountable for this?
Abubakar, allow me to take you slightly a walk into the law field. At Section 30 of the County Government Act, subsection 3H, provides that the governor must provide leadership to the county executive committee and administration. There is a use of the word and. And in law, when you use the word and, it is arising or is accruing from the governor to her executive and to the administration that she leads. So if there is a fault in terms of the administration, the buck lies with the governor. Why? Because Article 179 is again very clear that the governor is the chief executive of the county. So in the event where there is a transgression, in the event where there is a fault, where there is a fault line, the buck lies with the governor. May I give you an example? If today, Abubakar, you are having your granary, and you have some maize or some beans in that particular granary, and we know that Mr. Abubakar is the one who keeps and who is in custody of the keys, then tomorrow we go and open and we find out, come on, the maize is no longer there. Whom do we ask? Do we ask the maid? Do we ask the shamba boy? Do we ask the watchman?
I've heard that argument of the buck stopping with the governor in as far as the leadership of the county is concerned, but nonetheless, is that not self-defeating while assuming that the governor is to bear the sole responsibility of a county?
It's not self-defeating. It is raising the bar high for accountability. Remember the person who was elected, and if you look at Article 4 of our Constitution, it establishes Kenya as a multi-party democracy. A multi-party democracy is whereby individuals are involved in the formation of government of the day. If you look at Article 1 again, it crowns all the power and sovereignty to the people of Kenya. And we can only exercise that sovereignty through the elected representatives. So if there is theft in a particular county, I am going to ask the person with whom I have entrusted my sovereignty to. I did not entrust my sovereignty to the chief officer of finance. I have not entrusted my sovereignty to the supply chains mechanisms. Neither have I entrusted my sovereignty to the governor's PAs or the governor advisors.
But
my sovereignty is entrusted on the governor herself, and that is why I have to call her to account as and when there is a transgression.
All right, but in a fair and just system, why would you want to hold accountable for the mistakes of one person to another?
Yeah, because simply she has either failed, refused, or neglected to initiate proper accountability mechanisms in the county. For example, Abubakar, and this is where I was all coming from. We complained that one of the officers who was being used to issue these tenders was the governor's PA. We brought the chairman of the Public Service Board to prove that this PA was PA who later became the director of administration was not qualified. I believe she did not even have a driving license. But at the end of the day, she finds herself sitting in very, very influential tender committees. Who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries are people associated with the governor. They are chief campaigners. They are associated with her. There was no rebuttal. And Makiu Abubakar, Makiu, the governor's legal team never rebutted any preposition that we brought forward. They never brought a witness to rebut our preposition. Our cases as today was not rebutted.
Then are you ruling out the prospect of someone somehow finding themselves to be working for the county?
Sorry, Abubakar?
Are you ruling out the prospects of someone holding a position despite probably been associated with the governor?
Yes. Simply because if you look at our laws and from the experiences that we have been having, issues of nepotism, cronyism, tribalism, all those issues, we wanted to part away from our past. When we enacted our new constitution, we wanted to bring professionalism and meritocracy in the processes in which we manage our public affairs. And so that is why we put some serious safeguards that you cannot favor individual, you cannot give some attender through nepotism or through cronyism. We safeguarded those processes to ensure that we have a transparent and accountable procedure and mechanisms of governance in our republic. Otherwise, how do you give a person just because he or she is your PA? How, Abubakar?
All right, Wakili, the committee in its report, of course, did not grant you your wish in as far as the outcome is concerned. But there is the question of the political process of impeachment. Far much developed countries over the years with their age in democracy have had few and little impeachments. Is it a case of the political process and the difficulty involved in that process?
Well, no, Abubakar. It's not a case of a political process and the difficulties. The political process is brought by individuals who want to benefit with that process. The political process is triggered by individuals who want to immunize themselves, who want to conceal themselves from being called to account, from being called to order. So whenever an individual in this country, and this is one of the pandemic after COVID-19 we have to deal with, pandemic of people hiding behind their political affiliation, so that then whenever you are called upon to account, then you recruit to either tribal cocoon or the political cocoon. So after COVID-19, we have to deal strictly with that pandemic, so that we then are able to enhance proper mechanisms of accountability and transparency without individuals hiding behind their political parties, political affiliations, and their tribes.
All right, Wakili, I understand we are out of time, but nonetheless, there are those who equally observers, at this time I have to be clear, of politics, who point fingers to you, accusing you of having an interest in Kirinyaga County governance. First, do you have any political interest in the county's governance come 2022?
I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Given?
I am an adult. And the law says any person beyond the age of 18 can even contest for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. Nevertheless, my argument should not be lost by individuals trying to bring up issues of political interests. In any case, I am not bowed. I prosecuted my case as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I am going to prosecute it again before the High Court. Anybody who says that I cannot prosecute a case because I have political interest, let him raise that objection. We shall deal it in court.
All right, which still begs the question, which still begs my question as we finalize. Do you have political interest in Kirinyaga County? Yes or no? As we finalize.
Abubakar.
Yes.
Abubakar, as we finalize, whether I have political interest or not, did somebody allege to travel to the UK and never traveled? That is a fundamental question. Let nobody come and start saying that I am prosecuting this case because I have an interest. I mean, we all have ambitions. I would wish to become even the president of the whole world. Why not? I'm not bad. I'm not limited.
All right, Wakili, thank you for making time for us. That is Ndegwa Wanjiru, the lead counsel of the Kirinyaga Members County Assembly's case. Of course, this is in reference to the impeachment. Time for us to take a short break. We still have a lot lined up for you. We will be back after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to more news. Now, the government now says it will not be releasing the number of parliamentarians who have contracted the virus due to fear of stigmatization. A matter that raises concern over whether fear of stigmatization only rises when the statistics involve the high and mighty in the society vis-a-vis the common citizens. Zainab Mohammed with the details.
Every day at 3 p.m. in the evening,
11 more persons have tested positive for the disease today.
The daily COVID-19 briefs are addressed by officials from the Ministry of Health. Statistics that contain details of the common mwananchi, where they live, who they might have interacted with, where they have been quarantined, and the total number of people who have contracted the virus in the last 24 hours.
Today we have 120 people who have tested positive for COVID-19.
This daily briefs being termed as providing key information to Kenyans on the state of the virus in the country as a way of containing the spread of the virus.
We would like to appeal to all Kenyans to embrace the containment measures because these are crucial in terms of curtailing community spread and suppressing the pandemic.
However, the case is different when the virus touches the high and mighty in the society. When the virus first landed in State House, a statement was issued about it. To date, even the Ministry of Health officials say they do not know the exact number of people from State House who have contracted the virus, a matter that raised concerns from all over as many question the effects of the virus in the highest office in Kenya and the safety of the head of state and his family.
I actually do not have that information.
Another report emerged, this time COVID-19 in Parliament, with several members of Parliament being reported to have contracted the virus. When the Minister of Health was asked about the numbers, the stand was rather shocking. The ministry saying it cannot release the number of parliamentarians who have tested positive due to fear of stigmatization. The Director General of Public Health even saying that informing Kenyans of the number of parliamentarians who have contracted the virus won't help them in protecting themselves against the virus.
I do not know why it is important to know how many parliamentarians have tested positive. Because in the way of fighting stigma, it is not important that we know how many bishops have turned positive, how many judges have turned positive. We have urged again and again individual responsibility. The numbers of parliamentarians who have done positive is not going to help you not turn positive.
Not forgetting that the same leaders are treated with kids' gloves when they blatantly flout COVID-19 containment measures at will. Political rallies have become the norm rather than the exception, despite the Ministry of Health outlawing political gathering.
It will be difficult to know. Even some of you might have COVID here. You don't know where you have got it. You don't know where you have got it, actually. You can't say that a meeting in Kakamega, you got it there because you are in the meeting. You can get it anywhere.
The double standards by the government continues to raise questions, with COVID-19 being seen as a disease of the poor and only the poor should catch it and their details released to the public. When the politicians do, it serves no purpose to know them and how many they are. For TV47, I'm Zainab Mohammed.
Moving on, schools reopening will fully depend on the COVID-19 status in the country. This is according to Education CS Professor George Magoha, who met principals from various TVET institutions in the country. Magoha further revealed that the 8.2 billion shillings donated by the World Bank will be used to improve infrastructure in schools across the country. Andrine Kilemi now reports.
In a meeting with TVET principals from across the country, Education CS Professor George Magoha said the government's main focus was to ensure schools have enough water storage facilities, enough thermoguns for temperature checks, but most importantly, to ensure schools are able to adhere to the 1.5 meter rule on social distancing.
We shall not open until the disease has stopped increasing and stabilized for 14 days. When it does like that, the health experts, together with ourselves, will go back to the president and tell him, what risk are we able to take? What risk is he able to take? For now, I do not think the president will be happy to open schools when we are still spiking. I'm not speaking for him, but the way I know he loves our children, to him, even one child getting dead that is avoidable is something that we are not going to deal with.
Magoha revealed that the 8.2 billion shillings donated by World Bank will be used to improve the sorry state of infrastructure in schools by putting up latrines and additional classrooms.
The SECIP money, which is about 8.2 billion from the World Bank, I think they are opening tenders sometime this week, and we are going to accelerate. That is supposed to improve the infrastructure level in about 30 counties.
The education boss further confirmed that a number of technical vocational education training institutes have capacity to make face masks and sanitizers.
So the government is not sitting down and waiting. We are doing everything possible to ensure that should the situation arise, whether it is only the candidates opening or whether we are opening for everybody, we shall be ready in the best capacity that we can.
This even as 80 education officials drawn from different parts of the country remain in quarantine after 2 staffers from Kabarak grounds, where a seminar was set to kick off this week, were reported to be COVID-19 positive.
Now, even as the Ministry of Education prepares to reopen schools in the projected September date, one thing is clear, that schools will reopen if and when the COVID-19 curve flattens. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, the process of recruiting a new registrar of political parties and 3 deputy registrars has kicked off. Eli Logova tells us more.
The Office of Registrar of Political Parties, enacted in 2011, is set to have a legitimate registrar after the Public Service Commission commence the process of recruiting new officials on Monday. The exercise will also see 3 assistant registrars of political parties appointed to fill the positions.
Today, we shall interview 10 candidates who are shortlisted for the position of registrar of political parties. We have 5 male and 5 female candidates. Starting Tuesday, going to Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we shall interview a total of 37 candidates who are shortlisted for the 3 available positions of Assistant Registrar of Political Parties.
Among the shortlisted candidates for the position of Registrar of Political Parties include Kennedy Omoro, Moshid Abdallah, Nancy Oundo, Anne Nderitu, Mary Karen, Edwin Kipkoskei, Henry Mwenda, Edith Nyambura, Lucas Mwanza, and Sheila Atieno. According to the 6th schedule of the Political Parties Act, the PSC will, following the conclusion of the interviews for the position of registrar, nominate and forward to the President the names of 3 nominees for appointment and the names of 9 nominees for appointment to the Office of Assistant Registrar.
The Public Service Commission shall forward to His Excellency the President names of 3 nominees for appointment to the Office of Registrar of Political Parties and the names of 9 nominees for appointment to the Office of Assistant Registrar as provided in the law.
The Office of Registrar of Political Parties has been a beehive of activities in the recent weeks as warring factions in Jubilee and Ford Kenya tussle over leadership positions. Anne Nderitu has been the acting Registrar of Political Parties. Eli Logova, TV47, Nairobi.
Moving on, Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika's reproductive health bill has sparked controversy in the country. Religious leaders and human rights activists leading and have been at the forefront in bashing Kihika. But what is so controversial about the bill that has warranted such an uproar? Our reporter David Mudoka analyzes the bill that was presented to the National Assembly for a second reading in May.
Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika is at the center of the storm yet again, this time round due to her reproductive health care bill that seeks to amend existing abortion rules. However, this has not rested easy, with some sections of Kenyans, among them the clergy and human life activists. The 4-parts proposal already presented in Parliament further seeks to amend rules governing access to family planning, assisted reproduction, protection and safe motherhood. Under termination of pregnancy, Kihika proposes a pregnancy may be terminated by a trained health professional, where in the opinion of the trained health professional, there is need for emergency treatment, the pregnancy would endanger the life or health of the mother, there exists a substantial risk that the fetus will suffer from a severe physical or mental abnormality that is incompatible with life outside the womb. A trained health professional who objects the termination of a pregnancy, except in a case of emergency treatment, shall refer the pregnant mother to a trained health professional who is willing to provide this service. If the trained health professional fails to refer the pregnant woman, he or she commits an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of 3 years or a fine of 1 million shillings or to both. Kihika adds, a trained health professional shall not terminate a pregnancy unless he or she has obtained the written consent of the pregnant woman. In the case of a pregnant minor, the health professional ought to consult with the minor's guardian and determine that it is in the best interests of the minor to terminate the pregnancy. For persons with mental illnesses, the health professional shall not carry out the procedure to terminate the pregnancy unless the professional has sought and obtained the written consent of the person with mental illness. Where the person with mental illness is unable to give consent due to the nature of the illness, a supporter duly appointed by that person in accordance to the will and preferences of the person with mental illness shall give consent. Where the person with mental illness has not appointed a supporter, the following people shall give consent: the spouse of the person, the parents of the person in the absence of a spouse, or the next of kin of the person. A trained health professional shall provide post-abortion care and counseling for cases of incomplete abortion or complications arising out of the abortion procedure. Finally, a trained health professional who provides termination of pregnancy services and post-abortion care shall collect the data and ensure it is entered into the Health Information System established under Section 105 of the Health Act. This comes at the backdrop of a spike in teenage pregnancies in the country. David Muthoka, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, at least 37 counties have boundary disputes. This is according to the Council of Governors, which is now calling on the Intergovernmental Relations Committee to resolve the disputes. Among the counties involved in these disputes are Taita Taveta and Makueni, Vihiga and Kisumu. Joash Onsare reports.
Since the advent of devolution units, county boundary disputes have become a nuisance for many governors of the affected counties. So far, at least 37 counties have reported disputes.
37 out of the 47 county governments have boundary disputes. As a body mandated to resolve disputes that come between governments, we hope that during your time in office, you will manage to find solutions to these disputes.
Some of the counties which are victim to these disputes include Makueni, Kwale, Taita Taveta, Kiambu, Murang'a, Nandi, Kericho, Kisumu and Vihiga, where Vihiga County is claiming part of land in Kisumu County occupied by Maseno University. Further, Governor Paranya stated that some of the devolved functions like sports and fisheries don't receive resource allocations, urging the new committee to bridge the gap.
The above functions have never received resources from the exchequer, as they are yet to be transferred to county governments. We call upon you to expedite the process of transfer to allow for the function to be adequately financed and implemented.
Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa during the inauguration ceremony said the task ahead of the committee is arduous and coronavirus pandemic will not make it any easy.
You are coming at a time when our country is faced by very serious challenges. When we are talking about COVID-19, we are talking about a financial or economic crisis. We are talking about a health crisis that's confronting our country and all our 47 counties. This is the time when we need intergovernmental relations to be at an all-time best.
Josh Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Moving on, the World Bank has granted a total of 3 million shillings to 1,000 youths, vulnerable women and locals in 2 business groups in Nakuru County. This is in a bid to develop their beekeeping initiative in order to boost their jobs and wealth creation.
The Ogiekren Mariashoni Community Development Society, Makodev, together with Hifadhi Cooperative Society, has in the last 3 months received 1.5 million shillings to boost the expansion of the bee value chain in high potential areas in Molo and Naivasha sub-counties. Makodev Chair Michael Lele says the program raises their prospects for increased production from the current 1 ton to an average of 3 tons of refined honey annually for sale to inexhaustible local and global markets, adding that over the last 3 months, 2,000 seedlings of indigenous trees have been planted in the Mau forest in an effort to protect the ecosystem and available bee colonies.
Tunataka tuone ya kwamba imedumishwa na imelindwa, maana ni inatusaidia. Tuiboreshe iweze kutusaidia. Tupate ile ya kukula, ya kushibisha familia, pia tupate ya kuuza, watoto wapate kwenda shule.
Similarly, a group of 506 members led by Hifadhi Cooperative Society Chairman Njogu Mbutu is engaging in queen rearing, wax and honey bulking along the Iburu forest. He appeals to the county government of Nakuru to sensitize the public on the need to cut back on use of pesticides on farms that are proximate to apiaries. This, he says, will protect bee colonies, which are central to fledgling apicultural enterprises in the region.
Hii project ijakuwa exploited katika nchi ya Kenya. Watu waelimishwe na kuwe na researchers wenye watakuja wafanye research na wafunze mpaka watu mambo ya kutumia dawa. Na kama watatumia dawa, kama ni lazima watumie dawa, ni dawa aina gani wanastahili kutumia zenye hazitaathiri nyuki wetu.
Lele commended the move, saying it will benefit the marginalized indigenous Ogiek people to develop amenities in their own areas and educate their children out of the earnings from the beekeeping.
Kwa jamii zote, nitasema jamii Ogiek wako chini kimaendeleo. Serikali wakiingilia kati na walete hiyo mkakati. Nashukuru maana na wao hatutarudi nyuma.
Reporting for TV47, my name is Nanok Lauren.
Elsewhere, the government has promised to reschedule loans amounting to 450 million shillings owed by coffee farmers in Kiambu County. Agriculture CS Peter Munya has said that this is in an effort to allow farmers to flourish coffee farming, which has been ailing. Munya was speaking after meeting coffee farmers in the county. Coffee farmers have been uprooting coffee bushes due to poor income from the crop.
If you stop producing coffee today, you will not pay that debt. Ukiproduce coffee, upeleke, wewe ndio unalipa. Kwa hivyo sasa yule anajaribu ndio anagongwa.
Tutoke kwa auctioning, tuende kwa community exchange, where there is transparency, there is also price discovery, and where there is no insider trading. There is a lot of insider trading in that exchange. Tunataka kuuza kahawa yake, anyang'anyo license na nani. We don't want a controlled system. Tunataka kuwe na openness. Wale wanataka kuuza direct, wao wanauza. Wale wanataka kusia wenyewe wanasiaga. Ile system ya kufungia watu, hiyo tumetoka hapo. Tumeandiro naso, si tumefunga ile mambo ya government distributing input, hiyo tumefunga. That's why we are saying the mkulima atakuwa na kadi yake mwenyewe, anaenda ananunua inputs kwa duka directly. Then yule mwenye duka ana claim the balance, the subsidy directly from the government. Hiyo always you can't get that one. Lakini ile ambauking, serikali ndio inambauk fertilizer, then inaenda kuhusia wakulima nini. Hiyo system ilikuwa ya ukora mingi na tulikataa.
From Kiambu County, let's get to Machakos County, where Machakos Law Court has ordered the Assistant Chief of Midhanga in Machakos County, Daniel Kisulu, and his friend Veronica Mbinya Musau to be held at the Masi police station for 7 days. Muhammad Ali tells us why.
Machakos Senior Resident Magistrate Charles Ondieki has ordered the detention of Assistant Chief Daniel Wambua and Veronica Musau for 7 days at the Masi police station. This is after the police requested for 14 more days to complete investigations.
This court
grants the application, but limits the period of detention from the requested 14 days to 7 days.
The police say the suspect's life is in danger, an allegation opposed by the lawyer of the accused, James Kamanda, who said the assistant chief voluntarily presented himself before the OCS of Masii police station. Charles Ondieki said the two will be presented before the court on the 7th of July this year.
The officer is directed to produce the suspects in court next week on the 7th July 2020.
Veronica Musau is alleged to have aided the chief in accomplishing his mission by taking the minor to the bush at night. Muhammad Ali, TV47.
Thank you, Muhammad Ali, for that report. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi, on behalf of the entire team that made this production possible. Bye for now, but enjoy the rest of our programs.